By praising God with holy, holy, holy.
Hold on 1 second. That's a different one.
seated. Friends and neighbors, Mary Magdalene friends, Metropolitan Community Church of Las Vegas, in the middle of our busy week, we pause to observe Ash Wednesday together as a faith community. We remember that God made us from fragile, blessed dust and blessed us through a breath of life and love. From dust we are created in God's image, and to God's good dust we shall return.
With dust and oil we claim the mark of God's beloved creatures.
Today we begin our 40-day Lenten journey to discover who we are created to be as God's beloved.
In daily practices of prayer and service, we will embark upon this Lenten journey.
We follow Jesus, God's beloved child, bone of our bone and flesh of our flesh, in whom we see God's image most clearly.
So come, let us pray for strength and imagination to follow Jesus wherever he will lead us this Lent.
As we prepare for our 40-day journey of Lent, we turn around from the distractions of daily noise and focus our attention on listening in a deeper way. Writer Parker Palmer suggests we must listen to what our life is telling us. In other words, to listen to a deep wisdom of God gave us as a birthright, connecting to God's purpose once again. We invite you now to settle in your seat, close your eyes, and imagine a place that brings you comfort and peace. Breathe in the goodness of that space. Breathe forth the goodness that is within you. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I. Be still and know that. Be still and know. Be still and. Be still. Be.
For that which, then, I thought was right,
Have mercy, God.
for that which now I regret,
Forgive me, God.
for that which hence I know not what to do,
Guide me, God.
come and rest, come and listen. Know that grace, forgiveness, and guidance are available to you at each and every moment that we turn to receive them.
Thanks be to God.
We rest tranquil and join me as we sing Great is Thy Faithfulness. Great is Thy faithfulness, O God my Lord. There is no shadow of turning with Thee. Round
Gospel reading is from Mark chapter 1, verse 9 through 14. In those days, Jesus came from Nazareth of Galilee and was baptized by John in the Jordan. And just as he was coming up out of the water, he saw the heavens torn apart and the Spirit descending like a dove on him. And a voice came from heaven, "You are my Son, the Beloved. With you I am well pleased." And the Spirit immediately drove him out into the wilderness. He was in the wilderness 40 days, tempted by Satan, and he was with the wild beast, and the angels waited on him. And after John was arrested, Jesus came to Galilee, proclaiming the good news of God.
Join me now as we sing Standing on the Promises.
On the promises, Christ my King, through eternal ages let his praises ring. Glory in the highest I will shout and sing, standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ my Savior. Standing on the promises of God.
Standing on the promises that cannot fail. When the howling storms of doubt and fear assail, by the living word of God I shall prevail. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ the Lord. Bound to him eternally by love's strong cord. Overcoming daily with the Spirit's sword. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises that cannot fail. Listening every moment to the Spirit's call. Resting in my Savior as my all in all. Standing on the promises of God. Standing on the promises of Christ my Savior. I'm standing on the promises of God.
Amen.
Please be seated.
You may be seated. Our next portion of worship is called Action in Giving, our offerings. This is a combined worship service of Metropolitan Community Church and Mary Magdalene Friends, United Church of Christ. Mary Magdalene Friends offering are in your envelope. If you need to get up and get one during this time, you feel free to do so. May we give of ourselves as a symbol of our appreciation for receiving the mark of God's love in such beautiful and meaningful ways. As we have been given the mark of God's love, may we give in return.
Creator God, may the gifts that we offer today be used to share your love with all in our church, community, and the world.
That's afterwards.
Afterwards, okay.
able and together bless these gifts. Creator God, may the gifts we offer today be used to share your love with all in our church, our community, and your world. Amen.
You may be seated. As we come to this time in our service, we'll be doing it a little bit differently today, as we will both receive communion and the imposition of the ashes. You may choose to receive both, none or one, or however you feel compelled as you leave. We'll explain the candles in the back here shortly. But as we come to this table, as with Metropolitan Community Church of Las Vegas and with Mary Magdalene Friends United Church of Christ, this table is an open table, which simply means that anyone is welcome at this table. There are no rules, there are no limits to who can come and who can't. This table is open for all of us. As we come to this table and as we prepare our hearts, we prepare our minds, we prepare for this journey of the next 40 days. And in that, we offer up anything that may be getting in the way for us to maybe bind ourselves from advancing on this journey, to allowing God to use us in all the ways that we can be used. And so in this moment, we will take a moment of reflection, time to pray, as we let go of any of those things. Gracious and loving God, you have called us your beloved. You sent your Son, Jesus Christ, to pay the ultimate price. God, as we turn inward during this Lenten season, as we begin this journey, may we lay all of those things down that burden us, that hinder us, those things that we hold ourselves captives. And may we leave them here at this altar. And may we know that you have taken them, you have wrapped them in love, and you have freed us from that bondage that we keep ourselves in. We give you thanks, and we give you all the praise. And we ask this in your Son, Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. And it is through Jesus' ministry that Jesus brought us to this table. And we remember on that night that Jesus was betrayed, he took the bread, gave it thanks and praise, broke it, gave it to the disciples gathered around him, just as you are gathered here today, and said, take this, all of you, and eat from it. This is my body broken for you. Likewise, when the supper was ended, he took the cup, again, gave it thanks and praise, and said, take this, all of you, and drink from it. This is the new covenant shed for you so that sins may be forgiven. As often as you come to this table and drink from this cup, do this in remembrance of me. And when we come together and gather as a community and eat from this bread and drink from this cup, we proclaim the life, the death, and the resurrection of our Lord and Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
As you will be invited to celebrate in communion, the ushers will come forward down the middle, and we will direct you to the outside aisles. And so, with that being said, in the 6th century, the church began a ritual at the beginning of Lent season of imposing ashes made of the previous year's palms. This was a reminder that God created us from dust, and to dust we will return. And in between the clay of creation and the dust of death is a life worth living and living fully. In this season, we will listen to the still, small voice of God and find our own voice in the conversation. But we first must take the turn towards the divine. As you come to receive communion and ashes, you you're invited on a journey to the back of the sanctuary and then down the aisle. And as you go to the back of the sanctuary, there is a table that has a multitude of candles. And those candles are there as you are preparing yourselves for Lent. I know that it's often said, what am I supposed to give up, or what should I give up? And that's one way of thinking of Lent. I would also encourage you, if part of that Lent you still haven't figured out what it might be that you might want to give up, let me encourage you, instead of thinking of a way to give up, what might you be able to make space or make room for? Maybe that's a little bit more time with a loved one. Maybe that's a little bit more time of making space for self-care. Ultimately, something will give in order to create space for that. And so we encourage you, as a way of sending a prayer as to starting that journey, that you may light the candle if you wish. And then as you turn the corner to come down the aisle, imagine this turning as you're turning towards God for this 40 days in a much deeper way than you usually do. When you have received communion and the ashes, you're invited to stay and pray by finding a comfortable position within the sanctuary or in your seat as long as you wish. This will conclude our Ash Wednesday service, and so whether you choose to stay or receive the ashes, you are free to go after you receive your ashes.
So come see how good our God is through these movements of receiving communion, ashes, and lighting a candle.